This is going to be a video on my George Harrison Cloud 9 collection. Cloud 9 was released on November 2nd, 1987, so I missed doing this video on the exact anniversary of the release of the album. It's November 5th right now, but I still wanted to do it because Cloud 9 is my second favorite George Harrison album of all time. I got it Christmas of 1987 on cassette. And it was the very first George solo album that I ever owned. I had All Things Must Pass, I think on cassette that I had taped off a friend's album that he had. So legitimately the first actual copy of a George Harrison solo album. And what a great solo album to start off your collection with. It had the hits Got My Mind Set on You, When We Was Fab, Devil's Radio was great, This Is Love was the third single off the album. And just from start to finish, not only does it have a great Jeff Lynne production, but George's songwriting, just from beginning to end, although he didn't write Got My Mind Set on You, that was actually, the composer was Rudy Clark, but Johnny Ray, I believe, was the artist who recorded it back in 1964. But apart from that, they're all George Harrison's compositions. I actually never realized that Got My Mind Set on You was not written by George until like a year ago. I don't know how that escaped my knowledge for all this time, but nonetheless, if you didn't know, it's not a George Harrison original composition. But nonetheless, it's a great album. This is my vinyl copy. And the inner sleeve features Elton John and Eric Clapton and Jeff Lynne, of course, who was the founder and creative songwriter behind Electric Light Orchestra. There's a picture of Ringo on here. Ray Cooper, who added percussion, and some of the other musicians who played on the album. And then a great photograph, outtake from the cover session of George. Like all George's solo album from, I believe it was 1976 on. It's on the Dark Horse label, which I think is a cool, distinctive label. And I have two, somewhere around here, two singles. This was the single for Got My Mind Set on You. And I love it when the flip side is a track that was not on the album. This is a song called Lay His Head, which is on the B-side. And the label of the single itself is on the Dark Horse label. So it looks much like the album. And then the next single off the album was When We Was Fab. And I really like the fact that they updated his revolver drawing. I don't know if Klaus Voormann did this drawing like he did the one that originated on the Revolver album, but it's a very cool, nostalgic picture sleeve. And then another track that did not appear on the album called Zigzag. So very cool. And this also was on the Dark Horse label. Like I said, I first owned this on cassette, and this is what it looked like. They centered the picture, or focused in on the picture of George. And I've got two copies of this, and the only difference is that on this copy, there's like a white band here, and it's got like the catalog number W425643, whereas the one on the bottom does not. And then the band is along the bottom of the J card there, and on this version it isn't. I'm not sure why that is, but this is a clear cassette. And as you fold the inlay card out, you get the full picture of George, and then on the inside is the back cover of the album and just a few brief album credits. And then on compact disc, this was the original release of Cloud 9. That's what the CD itself looks like. And then nothing really here in the booklet except a reproduction of the inner sleeve. And then as part of the Dark Horse box set, the album was remastered and reissued. Now we have a picture of George sitting in the chair instead of his guitar. They've got the bonus tracks, Zigzag, which was the B-side of When We Was Fab, and Shanghai Surprise, which I believe was somewhat associated with the movie starring Sean Penn and Madonna that George's production company, Handmade Films, produced. That's what the CD looks like. And the booklet, this is just a little bit of it's a kind of some, it's like track by track information. An alternate picture of George from that session. He's not wearing the mirrored glasses that he is on the cover. And then that was a promotional photograph. I believe there was a poster that promoted the Cloud 9 album that this was taken from. And then the track listing on the back. So really, Cloud 9, the title track just opens up with a real bluesy George guitar lick. It's got a very catchy melody. That's what it takes, is a little bit of a slower George track, but just the melody on that. The thing about George is that with his solo stuff, any song that he wrote, it's just got a very distinctive melody. It's not like anything else or any other song that you were likely to hear. Fish on the Sand is okay. I'm not a huge, it's a decent enough track. I like the driving rhythm on that. Just for Today is a bit of a slower song. Probably, for my money, the weakest track on the album. This Is Love was a single. It's kind of a bouncy little tune that has a nice chorus to it. When We Was Fab was a great nostalgic kind of a, homage to the Beatles. There's some references to some different Beatles songs like, Take You Away, The Bus Gonna Come and Take You Away, which obviously references Magical Mystery Tour. It was almost in some ways a tribute to John and the other Beatles. So just a fantastic and a real heartfelt tribute to his fellow Beatles and his memories of the Beatles. Devil's Radio is a great driving track. Got a great guitar on there, and Jeff Lynne's production, again, I think can't be understated. Much in the same way that Phil Spector left his imprint on the All Things Must Pass album, Jeff Lynne definitely lent his production impression on this album. Some people don't care for Jeff Lynne. They feel like George Harrison's track sounded too much like ELO, but I'm a big ELO fan, so I do appreciate it and enjoy it. Someplace Else has another fantastic melody. It's a bit of a slower song with a great bluesy guitar riff from George. Wreck of the Hesperus is a decent track. Breath Away from Heaven has got kind of a I don't know what I want to call it, but almost like a Japanese sort of a rhythm to it. And then Got My Mind Set on You, obviously the fantastic single, and interesting choice that he left that track as the very last one on the album, but what a great way to close out that album. So that is my Cloud 9 George Harrison collection. Appreciate any comments you have, and as always, thanks again for watching.